So a while back, I made a video about, not mitzvah tefillin, but a guy in the supermarket met me and he thought he's so smart. So he asked me, you want to put on tefillin? Now, so there's the concept of kakafta, which is what the Rebbe spoke about. He said that you go and the Rebbe didn't say what the Pri Megadim holds. The Pri Megadim holds, according to that guy, by the way, this is pretty cool. I'm going to show you this while I walk. It's that hotel again, but I'm walking on a different side. So what the Rebbe was saying was that a guy should put on tefillin at least once in his life. So you should go out of the kakafta dola manach tefillin, right? So the Pri Megadim says if one day a guy missed, he's like a chayt Yisrael begufer, and he's like a kakafta dola manach tefillin. What do you mean? Just for that one day? How could you say that? So I have to look into it. It's pretty interesting. It's a pretty harsh. It's not harsh. It's like a strict thing. So the boy who showed it to me, he was a very sharp boy, and he thought I'm giving him false flattery. And I said no. I said when I was your age, I was never that sharp, because he saw the video that I made previously. He didn't know I had a channel, b'chlal. So he said to me, maybe I'm living in my own little bubble. For someone to say that and to not be have a conviction that everything he was taught in his cheder is absolute truth. It's not that it's absolute truth, but there's a little more to understand. It's very robotic and it's not a philosophical conclusion. It doesn't have the adventure of learning. And you meet many of those, but this boy was very sharp. He looked through, and I noticed he wasn't a Lubavitcher, but I asked anyway, but I already had to guess that he wasn't, because he said, because he mentioned the Lubavitcher Rebbe's opinion is also included in it. He showed me a thread about the concept of tefillin and all that. And then he said to me, so we discussed this, and we said, so a guy misses tefillin. There are people out there, and he himself included, so I'm not gonna say his name, so I can say, because sometimes I miss a day, but what you're telling me is going to make me feel less guilty, and that's a whole subject in itself. What is the benefit of guilt, and where does it come from? Meaning, let's say there is a benefit of guilt. Let's say guilt is a good thing and it steers you on the right path. If it's a path called religion, where you're meant to stay in a certain circle, that's the design of it. It's not a Yiddish thing, it's a religion. It's what organized religions do, because they have flock and sheep, and it's very interesting. But with the Christians, they believe that they tell you on the street, they tell you just got to believe in Yashka, right? Or many of these evangelicals, which is more of a new type. But but really, what they believe is that it's not enough, and you have to go to church, and there's something called fellowship. So basically, you got to show up. And showing up could cost you your whole life, and that's so to speak, it's the scam right there. The scam of those people who study religion will say that's the scam. That to get you in the door, they say you just need to believe, but then you need to. I say, well, so what's the problem? I'll believe it right now. I'll say I'll believe it. No, you have to show up. So the guy puts on tefillin, he misses a day or two, right? So the boy tells me that. He probably means a guy that does it b'mezid, the guy that sleeps in. So what does it mean b'mezid? If a guy puts on and he misses, how's that a bad thing? He missed a day. Either he was tired, he wasn't in the mood, he wasn't feeling it. So why would the Pri Megadim go after such people? So I said probably, and this is just my best guess, is that when I say this, you have to imagine that you're looking at a book. Someone like the Pri Megadim or even Gansfit Shulchan Aruch, which he also watched me speak about him, and he didn't freak out, but he definitely, he said, I don't agree, but maybe he realized that there's possibility of truth out there. And I said, Gansfit was this guy that, look what he wrote. If you see what he wrote, he's a theologian. It's like a galach, basically. He has these boichsvaris that are not, he didn't do he's not a prophet. Those books are not prophecy. It's someone's pen. And so my best guess is that the Pri Megadim is talking about a guy, not that a guy doesn't want to put on and he wakes up one day and he's angry, because those are good people. Those people who wake up and they're angry and they don't put on tefillin or they skip a day, or those who sleep in or they were lazy or whatnot, he's probably speaking about a guy that says, you know what, I'm a practical guy, and and these are religious people, and they're the Amchu. And the Amchu, the regular guys who come, they're not, you look at them, you don't even know if they're religious or not, but they are, and they belong, and they're familiar with everything. And this person says, I'll do tefillin on Monday and Thursday, which is twice a week. It's not nothing. And then there's people who do it just for a drive-by, which some say that doesn't count at all, the strict opinions. Of course, these halachas would never stand for those drive-by. They would say that's feel good. That's just a hergish. Feel better? Enjoy. Good guys. They're coughing. They're smoking. So so because the person decided that he's going to do it Monday and Thursday, so this Pri Megadim would say, that guy, he's deciding, he's making the religion practical to him. And that pissed off these religious leaders, writers, whatever they were. So one time I spoke about a person who, he was on that campaign to go get someone. It's like the basketball, throwing it in the net. You got to get someone to put on tefillin, especially a person like me that put it on so many times, and I was medayik in tefillin. And I've come to realize that it's something that you do in shul. So if I'm in shul with people that obviously it's people I respect. I'm not doing it because I'm thinking that I'm getting any points from it. I'm doing it for them, so to speak. I do it properly, like a kibbutznik he actually was an Einik from the Baal Shem Tov. He picked us up on a tramp in Israel to get back on Erev Shabbos. He gave us a ride. He said, I only davened once in my life, but the one time I did it properly. I didn't say like you guys do. He says, I didn't mumble the words. I said every single word because my friend had to do a yard site. They needed a minyan. He was an atheist and he was an Einik of the Baal Shem Tov. And I thought he was joking. And then the speakerphone in his car went off and his friend says, Shem Tov, Efwata. And he says, I'm an Einik from the Baal Shem Tov. And he's a doctor. He had a long white beard, no yarmulke. He was a secular atheist, as what he said. And I asked him, what do you think about miracles, about the Rebbe? Because that was my conduit to belief in religion, right? Because how do you know religion is true? So prophets when? Prophets are a long time ago, right? Even the books of prophets are sealed from many years ago. And even the prophets themselves, what could they prove, right? They could say things, but if it's not a prophet, then you don't owe the guy any time in the day to even believe anything, because he's not speaking for God. So my thought was that the Rebbe was the prophet. So I told him that, and he says, I'm a doctor, and people tell me I do miracles every day. And he's actually a practicing doctor. It's not like he's telling someone, operation, he's giving brachas and pretending that he, has some magical wand, and whatever the outcome is, it's always a natural outcome anyway, for the good or the bad, right? So I spoke about one guy who was a selfish person and not selfish in the way we think of selfish, like a mean guy or cruel or completely selfish, meaning he takes care of himself first. He's not looking to go out and do anyone a favor. I know this about him. He's not even, and I know this from the few instances that I knew him over many years. And I know he's a Baal Tshuva guy and takes it seriously and all that, but it's for him. It's his life, and I know it. There are people that go out of their way and they do you favors. They want to. That's their life. And in that, they believe that putting tefillin on you is a favor. So those are another kind of guys that they're not the chutzpah type. Like, this guy's going to come put on tefillin. This guy can't go out of his way and do chesed, right? So then you have a nice guy and he's smiling and you think he's so happy he hasn't seen you. And he's a little creep and he wants to put on tefillin with you. And you're like, dude, it's not something you do before shkia, like before mincha, like chap, let's put on tefillin. It's something that's done in the morning, and it's not about catching the day. You're not trying to capture days and fill in a calendar. But that would take a while to explain. But there's two types of people. There's a guy that's genuinely, by nature, he likes going out of his way and helping people carry the bags. And he asks, you want to put on tefillin? So what do you say to that? So then you can't go far. First of all, if the person doesn't have any type of seichel, you can't really, there's not much you could do. And I say this out of trying so many times and giving up. And that's the reality. There's not much you could talk to them about.